most multicultural cities. It is especially a pleasure to be here at Elm Drive Public School, a school that, when built, will meet the needs of local families in providing quality education. Many of these families who have come to call Mississauga home are newcomers from around the world, each one wanting the absolute best for their children to position them for a bright future. Mississauga is a fast-growing, multicultural urban center that requires a strong school system to keep up with the changes in demographics. My family immigrated to this great city 20 years ago, and I can speak for both my brother and I when I say that the public education system gave us a strong foundation to propel our careers forward. Education is a powerful tool for success, and there is absolutely no investment as important as investing in the future of our young people. Our young people today will become the leaders of tomorrow, and I am proud to be a part of a government that not only understands this, but commits the funding necessary to support the next generation. Minister Lecce, Minister Surma, thank you both for your hard work to better the lives of our children and to improve the communities that they call home. It is a pleasure to work beside both of you. To the Director of Education of the Peel District School Board, Ms. Rashmi Swarup, thank you for your lifelong commitment to education and equity and for improving the lives of countless students in Mississauga. Je peux dire que tout au long de cette pandémie, la sécurité et le bien-être de nos enfants et nos élèves ont continué d'être une priorité. Des écoles plus sûres, avec de plus grandes capacités pour nos enfants et nos élèves, sont devenues une priorité absolue à la suite de la pandémie. Our government is leading the way with investment in modern and accessible learning spaces, with improved ventilation and enhanced janitorial services to ensure that our spaces of learning can continue to accommodate our children no matter the circumstances. These investments are a priority for local families and our growing community. And as a nurse, I am also pleased to see the leadership of Minister Lecce during this pandemic in hiring hundreds of public health nurses into our school boards. Our students and staff certainly benefited from their guidance in developing public health protocols and ensuring the safest possible environment for both teaching and learning. And that is why I'm so pleased to be here today as we announce additional investments in public education. Expanding access to education in the riding of Mississauga Centre and across Ontario will continue to be a priority for our government. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Minister Lecce, who will share with you how we are addressing the education needs of communities like ours. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup.
Well, good morning, and thank you so much for joining us today. I want to first off thank Natalia Kusendova, the hardworking member from Mississauga Centre, for being a strong advocate for building new schools in fast-growing communities, including here in the heart of Mississauga. You know, Elm Drive Public School, this is going to be an amazing school. This is going to inspire the next generation, and with a real focus on STEM education. So we are grateful for this investment that the province is making in partnership with the board to build better schools, modern schools for the children of our province. And I want to also acknowledge and thank my partner in building schools, the Minister of Infrastructure, Kinga Surma, who's worked so hard to make sure we get these projects done on time, on budget, and really benefit the quality of life of children in all regions of our province. And I also want to acknowledge the Director of Education, Rashmi, who's with us today, who's working very hard to keep children safe, keep them in schools, and maintain a high standard, a high quality of learning for children in Ontario. You know, schools really are, have always been the heart of our communities, and COVID-19 has only driven that point home. Modern schools support quality air ventilation, access to technology and internet connectivity, breakfast programs, mental health supports and physical education, science and tech labs, and skilled trades classrooms that facilitate STEM education. Modern schools set the foundation for student success. In our classrooms and in our childcare programs, parents are counting on safe, well-ventilated and modern facilities. Under Premier Ford's leadership, we've committed $14 billion, in fact, over the next decade to build large capital projects projects like this, new schools and additional childcare spaces for families across Ontario, significant ventilation improvements to improve the air standards, and the renewal of our existing schools, the maintenance of those schools. And right behind me today, as you can see, the incredible progress being made by here at Elm Drive Public School, which will benefit families in Mississauga for decades to come. And Natalia has been a long-standing advocate for this project as the population grows. And I want to just acknowledge, once it is built, the school behind me will provide the learning needs for 650 students, provide 73 much-needed affordable childcare spaces, and create an early on and family center for children. This year alone, we've increased funding to school boards by $561 million, projected to be a historic high of $25.6 billion to support students. A historic level, the highest investment ever recorded in our province's history. In every region of the province, urban and rural, English and French, we are delivering real improvements that will benefit students and leave a lasting legacy for decades to come. But we know that there's more to do. Today, I'm pleased to announce that our government is investing $565 million to build modern schools, to deliver major expansions to existing schools, and build new, affordable childcare spaces for families across Ontario. Our government is building Ontario. And through this investment, we're going to build 26 brand new schools for Ontario families. We're going to deliver 20 school additions, major additions, as well as 23 childcare centres. And within that, just to contextualize what that means, 19,700 more student spaces in schools for your children, 19,000 brand new modern spaces for kids, as well as 1,500 new licensed childcare spaces to help support working families across our province, something that is pivotal for our economic recovery. And we're not going to stop there. We also have a vision for affordable, accessible, and flexible childcare. So today, I'm also announcing an additional $42.6 million to create more than 1,500 additional childcare spaces through the Early Years Capital Program. This is going to include 18 new infant rooms, 28 toddler rooms, 36 preschool rooms, and 7 family age group rooms. That's nearly $96 million in total for projects to deliver affordable, accessible childcare in this province. And today's announcement, I believe, demonstrates, in partnership with the Minister of Infrastructure, our continued commitment to providing relief for families and access to affordable childcare and the highest standards for our schools in this country. That is what hardworking parents and our children deserve. It's important to note that this investment in new quality childcare spaces comes as we continue to negotiate a fair deal with the federal government. This means securing fair funding for Ontario's childcare system while continuing to provide choice for all families. Today's announcement builds on past investments. Across Ontario, there are more than 350 school and childcare projects currently under construction as we speak. For the start of the school year, this past September, for example, we saw more than 38 brand new schools and additions open and welcome our students. That is progress. And unlike the former government, who closed 600 schools in the hearts of our communities, our Premier knows we can do better. We can build new schools and build our province up. And so investing in these safe schools is so important. And our government is helping to provide modern ventilation, something that we know is critical in our fight against COVID-19. But we know that families need additional support as well. And so to support them through this pandemic, we have provided more than $1.7 billion in direct financial relief to parents, the Support for Parents, the Support for Families initiatives. These concepts have been critical in providing direct relief, as well as the introduction of the Ontario Child Care Tax Credit that's helping hundreds of thousands of families provide roughly $1,500 per child in savings for childcare in Ontario. Now, we're extremely proud of the resilience and the strength of our students, of our educators, of our families, all of whom are working together to ensure we have one of the highest vaccine rates for young people in Canada with one of the lowest case rates for youth under 20. We are doing something right in Ontario. It just means we have to remain vigilant, continue to build modern, safe schools, and invest in our health and education systems, which is exactly what our Premier is doing. Thanks to this investment, students in all regions of Ontario will benefit from these safe, modern learning environments that are digitally connected and fully support their learning needs. It's now my great pleasure to introduce the Minister of Infrastructure, who will share how we are delivering expanded transit, new roads, bridges, schools, and hospitals for people right across Ontario. Thank you. Merci.
Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to be here with MPP Kusendova. Trust me when I say this, she is a very strong advocate for her community. Of course, I'm very happy to be here with Minister Stephen Lecce. It's a pleasure to join him while he is updating the public and speaking to all of the capital investments he's making to build more educational facilities across the province. Investing in our province's infrastructure has always been essential, but now more than ever, it's something we cannot delay or downplay. Building facilities like schools not only ensures the best learning environment for our children, but plays a factor in ensuring a good quality of life. And even though we were hit with a pandemic, we continue to invest and we continue to build. Over the next 10 years, our government is investing $148 billion to build hospitals, long-term care homes, public transit, highways, and other facilities families depend on. My ministry, the Ministry of Infrastructure, works with Infrastructure Ontario to help prepare, find the appropriate builder with experience, and construct these new projects in partnership with the private sector. And we are always looking for new and innovative ways to expedite building faster so that we can provide more services to the public. Whether it's rapid implementation and delivery or more collaboration with the private sector, we want to make sure that you are not waiting forever for that new school or hospital to be built. And you'll be happy to know we are investing heavily in Mississauga. We are providing $15 million in funding between 2019-2020 for the Trillium Health Partners broader redevelopment project. This hospital redevelopment will ensure that the growing city of Mississauga and Peel region residents can get the quality care that they deserve. And we're not just building more ICU capacity. We are building with more modern standards accompanied by an HR staffing strategy so that when your mom or dad, friend or neighbor need care, they receive the best care possible. To ensure that residents can get to where they need to go quickly and efficiently, our government is also supporting the construction of the 20-kilometer light rail transit along Hurontario Street between Port Credit and Brampton Gateway Terminal. This will feature 22 surface stops connecting with GO Transit, GO Bus, Mississauga MyWay, and Brampton Transit. This project will result in reduced traffic and congestion, reduced greenhouse gas emissions, all while making your life a little bit easier. In June, I was able to announce that the Ontario government is investing $45 million to support the reconstruction of the South Common Community Centre and Library in Mississauga. The new community centre will have expanded outdoor and indoor fitness spaces, aquatic centre, and new gymnasium. After the 2 hard years we've overcome together, a new community facility is something I'm sure everyone is happy to hear about and will enjoy. Our government is building Ontario. Under Premier Ford's leadership, we will end hallway healthcare, build public transit like never before, and make sure that your children have the best learning experience possible. Now, I would like to introduce Rashmi Swarup, the Director of Education, to say a few words.
Thank you, Minister Surma. Good morning. My name is Rashmi Swarup, the Director of Education for the Peel District School Board, and I'm delighted to be here. I'm joined this morning by my colleagues, Andreas Mayer, Principal of Elm Drive Public School, Randy Wright, Superintendent of Planning and Accommodation Support Services, and Mahmoud Garda, Project Manager. Thank you for inviting us to be part of this morning's announcement. It has been our pleasure to welcome the Honorable Stephen Lecce, Minister of Education, the Honorable Kinga Surma, Minister of Infrastructure, and Natalia Kusendova, MPP for Mississauga Center, to the site of the future Elm Drive Public School. The Ministry of Education and the Peel District School Board share an important goal and vision. That goal is to provide high-quality education to all students and to create learning spaces where each student is given the tools and opportunity to thrive and achieve personal excellence. The investment of $15.8 million into the construction of the new Elm Drive Public School, made under a previous round of capital priorities, is a prime example of how the provincial government and school boards are acting to meet the education needs of students. Once built, it will provide a new and improved quality learning environment for students in this community. We are grateful to the Government of Ontario for the investment in this new school that will meet the current and future needs of our students and future generations of learners. In addition, the new school will include 4 childcare rooms and 1 Early Ontario Child and Family Center room. The Peel District School Board recognizes the integral role that childcare plays in the learning, development, and well-being of children. Today's announcement, including new schools, additions to existing, and more childcare spaces, is great news for families in our community. They will help to meet a key need in communities like ours across the province by providing better learning environments for the children of Ontario. Thank you, Minister Lecce, for making these integral investments in support of students, staff, families, and community in the Peel District School Board. This school will be another place the community can count on. We look forward to working collaboratively with the Ministry of Education in the months and years ahead to provide excellence in education for all children. And now, I would like to invite Minister Lecce back to the podium. Thank you.
So we'll go to the floor for questions. If media could please just form a line behind the microphone. Do 1 question and 1 follow-up.
Hi, good morning, Minister.
Morning.
So there's going to be a lot of excited chatter in classrooms, I would imagine, among young kids who got their vaccine appointments. Some kids don't have their vaccine appointments today. I'm wondering what the province's preference is for that kind of a vaccine conversation in the classroom. Should teachers, in your opinion, be promoting the vaccine to young students, or should it just be hands-off, not even entertain the conversation in the classroom?
You know, look, I think these are decisions ultimately parents will have to make. Given these are young kids we're dealing with. I think school boards have definitely done a great job as partners in helping to encourage the vaccine, the safe vaccine to families, and make it accessible, with school boards and public health units working together to make these vaccine clinics as available, accessible, both after school hours and on weekends, which is precisely what public health units are doing with our school boards. So I think there's a good balance we undertook within our high schools, we will apply it in our elementary schools, but appreciating that fundamentally these are decisions parents will make with their kids. Our government is making the vaccine accessible for young people because we know it could be an effective way to reduce risk in our schools and help us put this pandemic behind us.
I'm sorry, could you answer the question? So should teachers be entertaining a conversation about vaccines? Should they be promoting the vaccine to young students?
School boards are promoting the vaccine and making it accessible to students. We think that is appropriate, and we think ultimately decisions related to the vaccine for kids would happen with parents in consultation with their pediatric physicians, which is what they would have done for high school as well. We believe the vaccine has been an effective way by which we've reduced risk within our schools. We have one of the highest vaccine rates for high school students. Just over 80% are double vaccinated. That has done a great amount of work. It's allowed us, in fact, to move to normal semestering in Ontario as a result of that high vaccine rate. So the higher vaccine rate we have, the more normal return we can make for children both in elementary and in high schools, which I think is really important to their mental and physical health.
And part of your announcement today is on childcare, so
Yes.
I wanted to ask you about that. Parents in other provinces are, the provinces who signed the deals with the federal government, they are going to start seeing their childcare fees reduced starting in January. There are 39 days left until January 1. Does your province, does the government intend to sign this deal with the federal government in the next 39 days? And as well, how much time do you think you realistically need to be able to implement the plan once it's been signed?
Yeah, the government is very committed to landing a fair deal for Ontario families. It is so obvious that childcare is inaccessible and unaffordable to too many families. It rose by 400% under the former Liberal government. We have to do better. And today, I'm proud to be joining my colleague, Minister Surma and MPP Kusundova, to announce 3,000 new childcare spaces, affordable, licensed childcare spaces in schools right across Ontario. That helps to make a difference. We are sitting with the federal government tomorrow with the aim to land a fair deal that reduces costs and brings us to $10 a day, which is what the federal government committed, which is what we intend on delivering for families in Ontario.
Do you think you'll sign it in the next 39 days?
Obviously, we hope to land a deal that is fair as soon as possible because childcare is inaccessible and unaffordable. As I noted, the cost for childcare rose very sharply, over 40% above the national average under the former Liberal government. And we think families need relief, which is why our government is at the table, building spaces, 3,000 more spaces today, and working with the feds to land a fair deal that does indeed bring fees down, that is much more affordable for working parents in Ontario.
Prabjot Sohal from Red FM. My question is for Minister Surma. Minister, you mentioned about increased funding by the province for hospitals, and Brampton is seeing new hospitals coming, but that also means that local residents have to pay $125 million levy, possibly, and there's a complaint that, a hospital that's coming too late and with too little beds, this is sort of unfair and it should be fully funded. What do you have to say about that?
Well, I would say that Premier Ford and the Minister of Health, Christine Elliott, as well as the local MPPs from our government have been advocating very hard. We are building the Brampton Hospital. We've made that commitment. The Brampton Hospital is currently in pre-procurement stages, which means we are developing the plans and the designs and getting it ready for procurement. But we are committed to building that hospital, and it's not unusual for hospitals across the province to do local fundraising initiatives. In fact, I was just in Niagara where they are raising money as well for their local hospital. So it's not an unusual principle for local communities to fundraise in order to make a contribution to the hospital.
Just a follow-up, do you think an exception can be made that knowing that Brampton is growing rapidly and there could be an increase, and if there's a possible third hospital and the city residents might have to again raise money for that, so do you think an exception could be made?
I would always encourage people to donate to hospitals. There are so many generous people in the province of Ontario that have helped us build. I will always encourage anyone that can spare $1 to donate to their local hospital, especially after what we've been through with COVID-19. But that being said, our government is committed to this hospital, and we are working, doing everything we can to build it as quickly as possible.
So 1 in 4 cases of COVID that have been school-related. Yesterday, another Toronto school was closed. Are you confident that the vaccinating the 5 to 11-year-olds will lead to fewer related cases, school-related cases?
Yeah, the Chief Medical Officer of Health and a variety of pediatric hospitals have been very clear about the safety related to the vaccine. They believe, as in our high schools, we can reduce the number of cases within our schools by having high vaccine rates. It's been a very effective intervention in reducing risk. And as I say, in our high schools, we have one of the highest vaccine rates for these high schoolers in the country, and we have one of the lowest case rates. So there's a clear connection, and there's a strength within a high vaccinated population. We want to see more people be part of that solution. We're very proud that Ontario has one of the highest vaccine rates for the broader population. I want to thank Ontarians for being part of the solution, including our youngsters in our high school who are really working hard to reduce risk and to allow these children to return to a much more normal learning experience that I think they all want.
What happens to schools that are hotspots? Do you have a plan to deal with those schools?
We in fact do. In fact, we've provided the public health units right across Ontario with additional testing capacity to deploy at any time to any school where they see risk. So a community that may have a high positivity rate within a postal code, perhaps a school with a low vaccination rate, or all the above. Our public health units now are furnished with rapid antigen tests, with a test-to-stay program that's designed to reduce disruption and keep kids within schools. We're the only province to have provided the take-home PCR test for all students. And finally, just last week, we announced with the Chief Medical Officer of Health, Minister of Health, a new initiative, essentially sending home rapid antigen kits, 5 tests for every student in a publicly funded school, designed to ensure kids remain safe and to get them back safely in January following the holidays. So we have a great deal of capacity and resources. You know, Natalia mentioned the fact that we doubled the public health allocation. Public health nurses for schools, they are making a difference. They are being continued on for second semester. In fact, we've extended funding, over $300 million of funding dedicated for COVID resources for the second semester. That includes more staffing, public health nurses, expanded testing options, all designed to keep our schools safe and open.
This will be the last question.
When will clinics for children 5 to 11 start in schools?
Every public health unit has a plan in place that's been reviewed by the Chief Medical Officer of Health that will include a variety of options and access points for the vaccines. All public health units are starting to communicate their locations. I've already seen them post today in many regions of Ontario that they could access them in community centres and libraries, and in many cases schools. That information will be delivered through our public health units, all of whom have great relationships with our school boards. And I believe they know. I addressed all the public health unit leaders and the Council of Public Health body on Friday. And I thanked the public health units for their collaboration. And I pledged to them our continued support in the Ministry of Education, our school boards, and our frontline teams within schools to say, look, we're here to help. We helped in high school. We're going to help in the elementary schools. We want to see, on a voluntary basis, a high vaccination rate. It's going to allow us to reduce risk and allow our children to live and learn in a much more learning experience that I think they want and we believe they deserve.
And does a lack of vaccine supply for the 5 to 11-year-olds slow down that progress?
I believe the Minister of Health has confirmed that the federal government has procured sufficient access with it arriving this week. Look, we're going to continue to work with all levels of government to roll this out in a seamless way that ensures families get easy access in their community to the safe vaccine. We want to reduce any barriers for families. We want to encourage them to get vaccinated. Because of our high vaccine population in our schools, we've really seen cases and outbreaks and transmission remain low, according to the Chief Medical Officer of Health. We've got a layered approach within our schools that are making a difference in keeping them safe. The vaccine has been an incredible way to reduce risk, and we're encouraging everyone who has not to consider getting a vaccine. It's been so effective in keeping our cases low in Ontario. That's allowing us to live, I think, a more normal life and a safer experience than many of our peers across the country.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.